The story of Benny Hill and his long-running television success is often remembered for its slapstick humor and unforgettable chase sequences, but behind the laughter lies a more complex narrative. From humble beginnings in post-war Britain to becoming an international television icon, his career spanned decades of changing cultural expectations. While millions enjoyed his rapid-fire comedy and musical interludes, shifting social attitudes in the late 1980s began to cast a different light on his work. One controversial moment would eventually spark debate, criticism, and a decline in popularity that contributed to the end of his television era rise and fall. Early life Benny Hill, born Alfred Hawthorne Hill in Southampton, England, grew up in a modest household shaped by both discipline and creativity. His father worked in a surgical appliance shop, while his grandfather had performed as a circus clown, hinting at a family connection to entertainment. Hill's early education did not immediately suggest a future in comedy, and he left school to take on a variety of jobs, including working in retail and manual roles. These experiences exposed him to everyday characters and situations that later influenced his comedic style, helping him develop observational humor rooted in ordinary British life and working class, an early career and radio breakthrough. His entry into entertainment began after he became an assistant stage manager, where he learned the fundamentals of timing, staging, and live performance. The experience gave him insight into how productions were coordinated behind the scenes. Following this, he transitioned into radio, making his debut on a popular variety program in the late 1940s. His performances quickly gained attention for their wit and versatility, allowing him to impersonate a wide range of characters. Radio provided him with a national audience and helped establish his reputation as a talented comic performer, capable of adapting to different formats and comedic styles. Overall, television breakthrough and global fame. With the transition from radio to television, his career reached new heights as he adapted his comedy for a visual medium. The show combined sketches, musical interludes, and physical comedy, creating a distinctive style that appealed to audiences across generations. His ability to convey humor through expression and movement made his performances instantly recognizable. International syndication helped spread his popularity far beyond Britain, turning him into a global entertainment figure. The recurring chase sequences and ensemble cast became trademarks of the program, reinforcing its identity as fast-paced visual comedy that relied heavily on timing, exaggeration, and visual storytelling techniques, ultimately comedic style and techniques. His comedy was defined by exaggerated physical humor, quick editing, and a reliance on visual gags that transcended language barriers. The use of sped-up chase scenes, slapstick falls, and expressive reactions created a fast-moving comedic rhythm. He often portrayed multiple characters within a single sketch, showcasing his versatility as a performer. Supporting cast members and recurring archetypes added structure to the chaos, while carefully timed musical cues enhanced comedic impact. These elements combined to create a unique television style that prioritized visual storytelling over dialogue, making the humor accessible to international audiences regardless of language or cultural background. Overall success. Rise of sketch comedy and emerging criticism. As the show progressed through the decades, its sketches became more elaborate, often blending parody, satire, and physical comedy. Writers and performers pushed boundaries to maintain audience interest, leading to humor that sometimes reflected outdated stereotypes and changing social norms. While the program remained widely popular, critics began to question whether certain comedic tropes were appropriate in a shifting cultural landscape. Despite these concerns, the show continued to attract large audiences and maintain strong ratings. However, tensions were gradually building between traditional comedic styles and evolving public expectations regarding representation and sensitivity in entertainment across audiences and industry observers alike. The controversial beauty pageant sketch. A particular sketch featuring a parody beauty pageant became a focal point of controversy in the later years of the show. The segment depicted exaggerated scenarios involving scantily clad participants and humor that many critics interpreted as objectifying. Although intended as satire, it was increasingly viewed through a more critical lens as societal attitudes toward gender representation evolved. The sketch drew significant attention from media commentators and sparked debate about the boundaries of televised comedy. This moment is often cited as a turning point, highlighting the growing divide. Between traditional slapstick humor and emerging expectations for respectful representation in entertainment, public backlash and cultural shift. Following the controversial sketch, public reaction became increasingly divided. While some audiences defended the show as harmless entertainment rooted in tradition, others argued that its humor no longer aligned with modern values. Media coverage amplified the debate, bringing greater scrutiny to the program's content and creative direction. Advertisers and broadcasters also began reassessing their association with the show. This shift reflected a broader transformation in comedy during the late 20th century, as audiences and critics demanded more sensitivity and awareness in entertainment. Decline of the show and its impact. As criticism intensified, the show faced increasing pressure from broadcasters and changing audience expectations. Production decisions became more cautious, and the tone of the sketches gradually shifted in response to public scrutiny. Despite efforts to adapt, viewership began to decline as newer forms of comedy gained popularity. The series eventually concluded, marking the end of an era in British television comedy. While it had once dominated ratings and enjoyed global success, its final years reflected the challenges of maintaining relevance in a rapidly changing cultural landscape. Legacy and cultural influence. Despite the controversies surrounding his work, his influence on television comedy remains significant. His use of visual humor, timing, and physical performance helped shape the development of sketch-based entertainment. Many modern comedians and shows have drawn inspiration from his style, particularly in the use of non-verbal comedy and rapid pacing. International audiences continue to recognize his contribution to early television comedy, even as interpretations of his work remain mixed. His legacy reflects both the innovation of his comedic techniques and the evolving standards by which past entertainment is reassessed in contemporary culture and media criticism still around the world today. Conclusion. In retrospect, the story of the Benny Hill television era reflects both the power and limitations of mainstream comedy during a time of cultural transition. What once attracted mass audiences eventually became the subject of critical re-evaluation as societal values evolved. The show's journey from global popularity to eventual cancellation illustrates how entertainment is shaped by changing expectations and cultural dialogue. While its humor continues to divide opinion, its impact on television history is undeniable.